You know, one of my favorite characters from Seinfeld in the past was Newman. And part of it was because he hit right home on what your typical lazy, entitled postie was. He really knocked it out of the park with that. And stereotypes don't come from nowhere, guys. The real reason he was a fantastic actor, Mr. Knight. And because it just people could smell that glimmer of truth. And in Canada, our posties are a little better. And Canada Post, as we know it right now, can't be saved. This has actually been a reality for decades, pretty much since the fax machine came out, even if delusional unions won't accept it and callow politicians won't deal with it. This Crown Corporation lost $3 billion since 2018, and the losses are growing by the year. Home delivery by letter mail used to be their prime service. That service peaked in 2006 with 5.5 billion letters delivered. In 2023, that number of letters had dropped to 2.2 billion, and it's only going to continue to drop. Look, people don't need letters delivered to their homes anymore. Email and electronic documents have replaced letter mail, and it's only diehard romantics and great-grandma Abby sending her annual Christmas checks to grandchildren who still correspond by mail. And, you know, romance is lovely, and great-grandmothers are fantastic, but it doesn't justify maintaining an obsolete service at a cost of billions of dollars. In an astounding act of financial illiteracy and greed, though, the Canadian Union of Postal Workers, they've served strike notice. Yeah, the unions refused and offered an 11.5% raise, and they're demanding large raises along with protections against technology that might take their jobs. Look, unless Canada Post can somehow illegalize email and fax machines, I'm not sure how these jobs are going to be protected. It's time to call the Cup W bluff. Let them strike. Go for it, guys. It's only going to speed the inevitable process of winding down Canada's National Postal Service anyways. The postal workers will lose what little political capital they had in public support anyways, because as usual, they pick Christmas, and they're going to delay Grandma's Christmas checks, and they're going to drive the few businesses still using antiquated postal services into modernizing their systems. Indeed, even city governments are moving to alternative communication systems in anticipation of this strike. Civic bureaucracies are slow to change, and they're often supportive of unions, but the posties have pushed it too far. Municipal mailouts make up a large part of the dwindling mail going now, and it's going to end. They're not going to move back to Canada Post after the strike ends. The inefficiencies within Canada's bloated postal service, they're myriad. I mean, to begin with, there simply isn't enough need to have mail delivered 5 days a week. Most Canadians can get by a service once, maybe twice a week. Most of the mails these days is junk anyhow, and we don't need it arriving in a timely manner. And then that junk mail is declining too, because businesses are moving to more efficient electronic means of promotion and marketing. All door-to-door home mail and delivery has to end. It's ridiculous that money's still being spent to have a postal carrier walk to 1/3 of the homes in Canada 5 days a week. Canada Post realized this years ago and began moving services to centralized boxes, but unfortunately in 2016, the union cut a deal with Justin Trudeau, and they halted the conversion, so 1/3 of the country is still getting home delivery of mail. Postal carriers work short days with long pay. They even have taxis delivering them to their postal walks in some cities so they don't have to suffer the indignity of riding a bus like the commoners. Let's face it, being a postal worker is a good gig. They're highly paid, enjoy full benefits and a generous pension for what's really a relatively unskilled job. If Canada Post was to cut 2/3 of the workforce, you can rest assured the remaining third who are employed would suddenly discover work ethics, and they'd be able to put in those 40-hour work weeks the rest of us get to enjoy. If unions truly cared about workers, what they would be negotiating for right now would be transitioning packages and job training for the postal workers who are going to be facing layoffs in the coming years. Unions rarely care about workers, however, and they know that Canada Post is speeding towards a fiscal wall. They don't care. The union heads just want to milk the company for as much in dues as they possibly can before the crash comes. Let the postal workers strike. Let them demonstrate to Canadians just how little we actually need them. Then the environment will be ripe to restructure Canada Post and cut the service down to a tiny fraction of what it is. I mean, some remote regions still need subsidized delivery services, and a trickle of letter mail service can still be provided to centralized postal stations. Private operators are already dominating the package delivery market, and they'll fill the demand much more efficiently than a Crown Corporation ever could. Giving in to the postal union, that would be tacitly admitting that Canada Post is expecting another taxpayer bailout. They're losing billions with the current model, and they'd only lose billions more if they capitulate to the unions. There's no use in continuing to keep this dying organization on life support. Like Blockbuster Video and home milk delivery, the service isn't required any longer, and we should be facilitating the natural evolution of this industry rather than trying to fight it. Either way, that's what got me going. I'm not worried too much about them going on strike, because to be honest, guys, I don't really care. You can't hold a sausage anymore. Too damn bad.